So once you go in, well, maybe I go back out first. I jump a little step in here. I was trying to. All right. So once once you go in, and you will see something like this, and then we are looking for this ocean view. All right. So you double click it, and you got the software open, and you will pop out like this. So it's ocean view, and once it's pop out, then we will use which one? This one, the application, and then we will use absorbance concentration, and then just absorbance only, and then we hit next, and then we will hit next, and then we will turn on the lamp. So now if you can see the camera, so the light is on because I checked this lamp enabled. So the light is on. So this is LED, and of course, if I pull it out, then it will detach. So the light is from here, and then your sample will be in between, and then you will go through, and the detector is inside it here. And then it will show it up on the computer, that's all. Okay? So now I turn on the lamp, and then what I need to do is store reference. So you need to click store reference. You need to click store reference. After you click store reference, this pops out, and then you click next. Now they want you to store the background. Background means nothing. What do you mean nothing? There's nothing. That when I say nothing means no light. No light pass through. So I'm doing a very cool way. I use my tiny, and then I go in and block it. So you see there is nothing pass through. If I take it out, you see the light go through. So I go in, and then I click store dark or background, and then I'll take it out, and then yes, finish. Everyone? All right, so that is that. So looks like we need to turn on the light, and then store reference, and then store background, and then you finish. Now if you don't want to use your finger, I got it. And I know sometimes we had, well today, we had some instructors, I know we use a paper, and then you roll it and then block it. That's okay too. Okay? All right, now we are ready. So, now you have all your 10 standards and then one unknown. So we will run the standards first. Now in the usual way, we will run it from low concentration to high concentration. If we know the wavelength, what wavelength is at the maximum, absorbance. But I know we never tell you, it's not in the lab manual, so we go the other way around. So we will run the highest concentration first, which is unusual, I have to say it. The reason we do that, then we can get the maximum wavelength. There is a box right by the bench over there. of the cuvette. We call it cell. So what I suggest is, so now you have your highest concentrations of the standard, which is number 10. So what you do is, the other is what we can do is, they took out all the pens. So we can use a Sharpie. Anyone get a Sharpie? So we can have a little Sharpie, make a little dot. I tell you in a minute. So you make a little dot. All right. So now we have the distilled water, and we can rinse and rinse until you look it looks clean and all happy. Then we are going to use the solution that you are going to measure to rinse. I say once and twice, and then the third time maybe. I know the other standard you only have 10 mils, so not too much. So this one you got a lot. So I say rinse at least twice. The third may be optional. After third, probably I call it psychologic. It just don't make any difference. So we want to lower up the solution at least halfway up. Now, then we can have the Kim White and make sure there's no fingerprint, no anything, and then make sure no air bubble or anything. If you see any air bubble, you can just tiny tap it and then it will come out the bubble. Now, because I make a dot, so I can keep this, because it's all symmetric. And so now I can make it in a designated orientation. For example, I can say the dot is always faced this way. Yeah, so that each time it will be always the same thing, instead of you don't know. So now I put it down, and then you see the spectrum, but this is in the transmittance right now. So you have to change the tab. Everyone see the tab in here, so I click it, then it's absorbance. So the tab is up in here. So don't panic when you put it looks funny, but you have to click here. Now once you click in here, and we see an absorption peak, so now we want to know what is the, well, one thing you could do, because now the software is just brand new, I should say we just download the updated version, which is fit to this computer and match. We used to is always broken, but this one should be okay. So one thing you can do is you see all this icon, so we can pause it. That means frozen. And so now it is no jumping anymore. So now we are looking at the spectrum. So what do we want? We want to learn where is the maximum. Well, how can I know where is the maximum? Two things you can do. One, if you look at the peak, we want the cursor to be in the middle. We want it to be in symmetric. That's one thing. Second, you can look under here, the number. It will change as I move. So right now it's 1.91, which is a little high. So now 1.80, oh no, excuse me, 1.93. So it's a little bit higher. And then also, don't just look at the number. We need to look at, is it in the middle also? So that piece of vector is also important. All right, so we don't want the cursor over here. You know it's wrong. I know it's wrong. So you want to be in the middle, and then at the same time you get the highest reading. So take this one for example. I would just leave it as such. So it looks like it's 1.9 is the absorbance. And the wavelength is 625.907. So you need to write down both the absorbance and the wavelength. Once you do that, then you can unfreeze. You just do that, and you are done with this standard, and you can dispose, and then you can get your next standard. One thing what you should do is keep the cursor here, and you don't want to change the wavelength anymore. In other words, your cursor should not move around anymore, should be frozen. And then the next one should be, of course, the next one may not be that middle, but it should be okay, and that's why we want to pick the highest to lock the wavelength. And then you're going to measure all your tan, and then you will measure your unknown. What your hope and wish of your unknown absorbance is within this number 10 and number 1. So for example, this one is 1.9, and if your unknown fall within 1.9 to your number 1, whatever that is, if you're within that window or range, you are A-OK. And so you may need to dilute accordingly. And that one I leave it up to you to exercise your judgment after the one I told you how to dilute initially. Yes?
For when we want to change the solution, do we just take the tube out, dump
Yeah.
it, rinse it with water?
Yeah,
rinse it
so
with
I just take it out, and I just put it in the waste, and then I water it, and then you use your next solution, rinse twice, and then number 3 you go in, and so on.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Anything? Okay, all right, stop.